my best friend. I have this little sister Lola. She's small and very funny. Charlie, you must keep still, otherwise our spell will not work. Lola has this friend Lotta. I can smell a Charlie, says Lola. Lotta says, you are going to be turned into a stinky toad. Lola and Lotta are best friends. They share everything. Lotta says, I don't like my orange today. It's too orange. Lola says, I don't think I like my banana today. It's too banana. Let's swap. And when Mrs. Hanson says, get into pairs, they always go together. Lola and Lotta both love looking at the school fish pond. What are all those black wiggly things, says Lotta. They are tadpoles, says Lola. They turn into frogs. Lotta says, look at the tadpoles. They are playing hide and seek. Look, the big orangey fish is still in bed. He looks sleepy. Then Lola hears a ringing noise. Bring, bring. Quick, Lotta, it's the school bell. Hurry up, Lola. Just gotta get my things, Lotta. When Lola gets to the classroom, Lotta says, this is Evie. She's new. Hello, Evie, says Lola. I am Lola. I am Lotta, says Lotta. And Mrs. Hanson asked me to look after you. We must show Evie where everything is, says Lola. This is the corridor. And you have to do walking, not running. Otherwise, you'll be told, no running, says Lotta. And these are the coat pegs for hanging up your coat. Yes, and you probably will get one next to mine, says Lotta. And this is the wall, says Lola. Yes, a wall, says Lotta. Oh, says Evie. And this is where we eat our lunch, says Lola. I wish I had something orange. I wish I had something yellow, says Lotta. Let's swap, says Evie. So Lotta and Evie swap. In the sandpit, Lotta says, I know. Let's join them up. Shall I join up too? Says Lola. No, says Lotta. Because then you can come and visit. Oh, says Lola. When we get home from school, I say, what's wrong, Lola? Lola says, I don't think Lotta likes me anymore. And I say, but she's your best friend. You do everything together. That was ages ago, says Lola. And I say, it was only last week. Perhaps you will be best friends again tomorrow. Do you think so, Charlie? The next day, Lola sees Lotta playing with Evie. Lotta says, Evie, in the world of the pond live all these millions of tiny tadpoles and they are always playing hide and seek. I don't think tadpoles play hide and seek, says Evie. Says Lotta. Then she says, Evie, Mum said you can come to tea. At bedtime, I say, so how's Lotta today? Are you best friends again? No, says Lola. Lotta is not my bestest friend anymore. The next day, Marv says, Lola seems a bit down in the dumps. And I say, yes, she says Lotta has a new best friend. And then we have an idea. We swing Lola high in the air. Meanwhile, Lotta says, maybe the tadpoles will wake the big fish up with all their playing and shouting. Tadpoles don't shout, says Evie. Do it again, says Lola. Oh, says Lotta. Look, there's Lola. Lola, shouts Lotta. Do you want to come and see what's in the pond? Lola says, ooh, those tadpoles are going to wake up the big fish with all their shouting. And Lotta says, that's exactly what I said. Lotta says, "Where's Evie gone?" "She's over there playing," says Lola. Then Lotta says, "Lola, I saw Charlie and Marv swinging you, and it looked really fun." And Lola says, "Charlie and Marv, will you give my bestest friend Lotta a swing?" Whee! Charlie and Lola, look after your planet. I have this little sister Lola. She is small and very funny. Lola loves keeping things, all kinds of things. Boxes, old broken toys, just things. "Not anymore," says Lola. I say, "Has it got anything to do with when we went to Marv's house?" And Lola says, maybe. Yesterday, Marv said, "I dare anyone to go into my big brother Marty's room. He doesn't let anyone touch any of his things and he won't throw anything away." Mum says his room looks like a complete pigsty. I say, "He can't be that bad." When we sneak into Marty's room, Lola says, "Ooh, it's Pongs." But then we hear, "Get out of my room, now!" And Marv shouts, "Run!" So you see, Charlie, I do not ever, never want my room to look like Marty's. So I am throwing everything away because I do not need it. "Why don't you recycle it?" And Lola says, "Bicycle it?" "No, recycle it." "Recycle it? What is that?" says Lola. "Well, it's a way that people can reuse old things in a different and newish way." "Why?" says Lola. "Because if we throw everything away, then we will all be completely buried under a massive, huge pile of rubbish. And if we don't use things again, in the end, we will just run out of everything. So, recycling is a good thing." Did you know there are these places where they make new paper out of old paper? The old paper gets squidged up with water and things, and then they press it all flat. Then they make all sorts of new types of paper like toilet paper, writing paper, egg boxes, wrapping paper, and colouring in paper. "That is clever," says Lola. Later, Lola says, "Look, Charlie, Mum bought me this special comic. It's called Look After Your Planet, and there's lots about recycling in it." And I say, "Ooh, a competition! You can win a tree all of your own to plant." "What do we have to do?" says Lola. "We have to collect 100 of each thing. 100 tin cans, 100 plastic things, and 100 things made out of paper." "That's a lot of things," says Lola. "Look, Lola, your very own tree counter." Every time you collect something to recycle, you can stick a leaf onto a branch. When your tree counter is completely full up, you can get your very own real tree to plant. Lola says, "I would love to plant a tree." "Well, you better start recycling." And Lola says, "Okay, Charlie." This box is for all the plastic things. And this one is for the tin cans. And this one is for paper. And I have already recycled 2 plastic things, a baked bean tin and some paper. I say, "I'm not sure we will be able to collect 100 of each thing in just 2 weeks, Lola, all on our own." And Lola says, "Of course we can, Charlie. Have you finished?" "Good." Later, Lola says, "See, Charlie, I can recycle these toilet rolls." And I say, "The idea is to use the paper really slowly and not waste it, so we don't have to cut down lots of trees." "Then you recycle the rolls." "Well, we need some more leaves on our tree counter, so maybe we need to ask some even more people." The next day at school, Lola says, "We have to save the trees and stop us being covered in a big, large pile of rubbish. If we fill this tree with leaves, We will win our very own real tree for the school. Everyone is excited and says, I want to do recycling, pass it on. I want to do recycling, pass it on. I want to do recycling, pass it on. So everyone at school starts recycling. Look how many I've got. I've got lots too. You are a very good recycler, Lotta. Oh, Morton, you're not helping. So Morton goes home and he finds more things to recycle. When everything is recycled, Lola says, Oh no, we have not filled up the whole tree, so we will not be getting our own real tree. But then Morton comes along. Lotta says, Look at what he's got. And soon, we have filled up the tree counter. Thank you, Morton, says Lola. You are a very good recycler. Then Marv whispers to Morton, Where did you get all that? And Morton says, Marty's bedroom. Marv says, You are going to be in such big trouble. The next day, we all go outside to plant our real, actual school tree. Look, our very own real school tree, says Lola. We are extremely very good recyclers, aren't we? Later, when we are all round at Marv's, suddenly we hear, Who's been in my room? Let's get out of here, says Marv. And Morton says, Quick, run for it. Charlie and Lola. I absolutely love animals. 2 extremely good stories. I completely know about guinea pigs. I have this little sister Lola. She is small and very funny. At the moment, Lola is... What are you doing at the moment, Lola? I am being a guinea pig, says Lola. I say, why? Because I really like guinea pigs. And maybe, if Mrs. Hanson lets me, I can bring Bert, our class guinea pig, home for the school holidays. Have you asked Mum? Yes, says Lola. She said it will be completely fine. The next day at school, Lola says, Lotta, do you know all about guinea pigs? And Lotta says, there are lots of different kinds of guinea pig. Short hair ones, longer hair ones, brown ones, black ones, brown and black ones, fluffy ones, messy ones, and there are tidy ones. I thought Bert was a girl guinea pig, says Lola. He looks like a girl because his hair's all pretty. Minnie says, No, Bert's a boy guinea pig. How do you know all about guinea pigs, says Lotta. Because I've got one at home. He's called Fluffy and he comes from Peru. Peru? Says Lola and Lotta. Where is Peru? It's a very long way away, and in Peru there is lots of long grass. Guinea pigs love long grass because they are shy. Hello! Hello! Hello, I'm in Peru! Squeak! And they like to hide in the burrows of other animals. Guinea pigs like to gnaw on wood and twigs and things so that their teeth don't grow really long. And they use their whiskers to see if they can squeeze into different spaces. Lola says, I've asked Mrs. Hanson if I can take Bert home for the school holidays. I've asked Mrs. Hanson too, says Bernard. And I know what they eat. Biscuits? Says Lola. No, they don't, Lola. Guinea pigs eat fruit and vegetables and grass, says Minnie. And bran, says Bernard. Lola whispers to Lotta. I don't think Mrs. Hanson will choose me to take Bert home because they know everything about guinea pigs and I don't. Oh, please pick me, says Lola. And Lola does get picked. So on the way home I say, do you know how to look after Bert? Yes, I do, Charlie. Mrs. Hanson told me everything after the class. She said I have to give him clean water every day and new straw for his bed, and he mustn't stay outside at night time because it gets really cold, and you must always wash your hands after holding him. And he likes to eat fruit and vegetables, but not potatoes, Charlie. You must never, ever give a guinea pig potato or crisps. Then Lola says, and don't you think Bert looks like a girl? I don't know, I say. Well, I think he looks like a girl, says Lola. There, a bed for Bert. There you go, Bert. If you were my very own guinea pig,
I would always take you shopping with Mum, and I would take you to the cinema. I would take you everywhere. Then I say, do you want to play snap with me, Lola? No, thank you, Charlie. I am stroking Bert because I don't want him to be lonely. How could he get lonely? You haven't left him for one single moment. Later I say, Dad has made this for your guinea pig run. Oh, goody, says Lola. My guinea pig run is full of adventures. Bert is just going to completely love it. Ready, steady, go! Look, Charlie, look at Bert. He's going really fast. Bert? 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 Where is he, Charlie? Bert is completely, extremely gone. He can't be completely gone. He has to be here somewhere. Bert? 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 Maybe he didn't like me, says Lola. Maybe he's run away. And I say, he hasn't run away. He has to be here somewhere. The next day, we still can't find Bert. Oh no, what am I going to say to Mrs. Henson? Says Lola. But then Lola hears a noise. Huh? Squeaking, says Lola. It's coming from over there. It's Bert. And he's gone all tiny. But then I say, look, Lola. And Lola says, lots of Berts. And I say, I don't think Bert is a boy, Lola. What do you mean? Says Lola. I think Bert has had babies. And Lola says, I said he was a girl. I will not never forget you, Nibbles. I have this little sister Lola. She is small and very funny. Today, Lola is very excited because Mum and Dad says I'm allowed to have a pet mouse. Lola says, Charlie, why don't you call your mouse Mouse? I say, well, I think I'll call him Nibbles because he likes to chew things. Hello, Nibbles, says Lola. Can I please hold him, Charlie? And I say, not yet, Lola. The man in the shop said we have to let him get used to us and to his new home, slowly. Nibbles makes lots of noise in his cage. Lola says, he's running very fast in his wheel, Charlie. I say, mice like to run in a wheel, Lola. It's how they exercise. Every time I play with Nibbles, Lola always wants to join in too. She says, Nibbles really is extremely clever. Ooh, make him go up my arm too, Charlie. When it's bring a pet to school day, I take Nibbles with me. In assembly, I say, mice are really clever. Also, they have tails, which are the same length as their bodies. Mice use their whiskers so they can feel where they are. I am now going to show you how clever my mouse Nibble is. My sister Lola is going to help me. You can do it, Nibbles. Go to Lola. And Nibbles walks across the tightrope. Lola says, Nibbles did it. And then Nibbles walks upside down. On the way home, I say, when Nibbles is older and bigger, he might be able to do all kinds of tricks. Lola says, yes, millions and 100 of people will come to see Nibbles, the daredevil mouse. He could be the first ever mouse to cross a waterfall on a tightrope, I say. Come on, Nibbles. Yes, come on, Nibbles, says Lola. Marv says, oh, I can't watch. You can do it, says Lotta. He's the cleverest mouse in the universe, says Lola. Lola says, Nibbles will have to be much bigger to do that trick, won't he, Charlie? Yes, Lola, I say. He will need to be more of a grown-up mouse. Nibbles plays with me and Lola in summer and autumn and winter, and he plays with us in spring. But then, one morning I go to wake Nibbles up and he's very still. Lola says, Sleepy Nibbles, do you think he will wake up if I go and get his favourite mouse food? No, Lola, I say, because I think that Nibbles has died. Lola says, I don't think so, Charlie. He is just tired. Then Lola says, Nibbles is completely not moving, Charlie. So I say, I'm afraid, Lola, that Nibbles is definitely not going to wake up. Later on, Mum says we can use a shoebox to bury Nibbles in. Lola says, why do we have to bury him, Charlie? It's what you do when your mouse dies, I say. We could make Nibbles a sarcophagus. What is a sarcophagus? Says Lola. I say, in ancient Egypt, when people died, they were buried in a sarcophagus. Each sarcophagus was decorated and it would be filled with a person's favourite things. I think it would be nice to make one for Nibbles, because he was really special. Lola says, yes, Nibbles was completely, definitely very special. So we decorate a special shoebox for Nibbles, and we put all his favourite things into it. Lola says, Nibbles loved glitter, and he loved leaves, and he really loved his wheel, and this was his favourite sock. Hey, that's my sock, I say. But Lola says, no, Charlie, that was Nibbles' favouriteest sock. Later, Mum puts Nibbles in the special box we made and Dad digs a hole in the garden, in a really nice place by the tree. I say, Nibbles, you were a very clever mouse, and I didn't really mind about you nibbling everything. And Lola says, I will not ever never forget you, Nibbles. A couple of weeks later, we go to Marv's house to see his new mouse. It's called Squeak. I say, maybe we should get another mouse, Lola. But Lola says, no, Charlie. I will be very extremely upset in case the next mouse dies too. Marv says, all mice die, Lola, because you see, they don't live for a very long time. But then we see Lola isn't listening. Instead, she says, Charlie, did you see what Squeak did? He jumped all the way from here to all the way over there. I say, Nibbles never did jumping, did he, Lola? And Lola says, maybe perhaps we should get another mouse after all. So Lola decides to get a mouse of her own. Oh, I say, what is his name, Lola? And Lola says, Tickles. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos just like this one.